Welcome again to Ancient Tales for today. Well, the last time we talked about a dreamer explains dreams. Have you ever had a dream? Well, this ancient man, 古代的一个人, he had a dream and he also explained some dreams. You'll remember that we looked at a number of interesting words like chief baker, prisoners, and attitude. Now we come to lesson number 33. Lesson number 33, understanding cows. Whoa, 明白牛啊. Well, stay tuned for this story.
Number 33, understanding cows. If you had a dream about cows, maybe you wouldn't think too much about it. But somehow this dream seemed important to the king of Egypt, and it stuck clearly in his mind. He thought and thought about it, but he could not understand what it meant. He also had a dream about heads of grain. In the morning he sent for all his wise men and told them what he had been dreaming about. But none of them could explain what the dreams meant. After all, it was a dream about cows and grain. When the wine server realized how important it was to the king to understand these dreams, he suddenly remembered his own dream when he was in prison and how Joseph explained it to him. He told the king what had happened, how Joseph had explained his dream and the dream of the baker, and that things had worked out just as Joseph had said. So the king ordered Joseph to be brought to him at once. "I understand you can explain dreams," he said. He told Joseph. "No, I can't," Joseph replied, "but God can." So the king told Joseph all about his dreams. He had seen 7 fat cows, followed by 7 thin cows that ate up the 7 fat cows. He had seen 7 full, ripe heads of grain, followed by 7 thin, wind-burned heads of grain that ate up the 7 full heads of grain. "The 2 dreams mean the same thing," Joseph replied. "The 7 fat cows and the 7 full heads of grain mean there will be 7 years of plenty. The 7 thin cows and the 7 thin, wind-burned heads of grain mean 7 years of famine. So there will be 7 years of great plenty in Egypt, followed by 7 years of famine." Now the king understood how important these dreams were. How good it was that Joseph was there to help explain them.
Okay, here we go. Now, if you had a dream, do you ever dream? We all dream some kind of dreams. But if you had a dream about cows, maybe you wouldn't think too much about it. 有时候我们做梦，梦到那些根本没意思的。Who dreams about cows? So if you had a dream about cows, you wouldn't think too much about it, meaning 你不会觉得是太重要。But somehow this dream seemed important to the king of Egypt, 埃及王。看到梦中看到牛 and it struck clearly in his mind, stuck clearly in his mind. 他 记得很清楚，在脑袋，这个记得好清楚。Of course, most of the time we forget what we dreamed about. Sometimes even in my dreams I think, oh, I will remember this, but I never do remember it. But the king of Egypt remembered his dream. He thought and thought about it, but he could not understand what it meant. Ancient people, 古代的人, when they dream things, they think, oh, it must be very important. 他想又想, but he could not understand what it meant. 根本不明白他的意思了. He also had a dream about heads of grain. Do you know what a head of grain is? 一粒麦子 is grain, and heads, of course, would be 这个一粒, okay, the head of grain on top of the stalk of the grain. 一粒麦子, okay, or 几粒麦子 on top of the grain. Okay, so he had two dreams. Two dreams. In the morning he sent for the wise men. Okay, the wise men of Egypt were the 顾问. Okay, 顾问. The wise men, they're the ones that helped the king run the government. He told them what he had been dreaming about. Okay, that makes sense. You tell the dream and see what the wise men think going on. But none of them could explain what the dream meant. 他们根本没办法解释王的所做的梦. Okay? After all, it was a dream about cows and grain. Now, usually you don't dream about cows and grain, 牛和麦子. Who dreams about that? 人就不会做到这些梦啊. When the wine server, remember who this wine server is? He's the one that brings the wine, 就把这个酒就给这个王. Okay, why do you have a wine server? Because the wine server always drank the wine before the king drank the wine. Do you know why that? Because that way he wouldn't worry about poison. Okay? When the wine server realized how important it was to the king to understand the dreams, 当他明白王对这个梦是看得这么重要, he suddenly remembered that he was in prison and how Joseph explained it to him. Actually, Joseph explained it to him about what he had seen in prison. Okay? You remember the story. He was in prison. And another prisoner, 另外一个罪犯, helped him understand his dream. And his friend died, but he lived. So now he remembered how Joseph explained it to him. Going on. He told the king what had happened. Okay? So he tells the story. The wine server now becomes a storyteller. Remember, Joseph said, oh, and please remember to tell the king about this. But he forgot. I think it was for 2 years, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. he told the king what had happened. He told the king how Joseph had explained his dream. And the dream of the baker. You know what the baker is? 做面包的. You remember in the story, the baker ended up dying, but the wine server ended up living. And especially important is this last point. And that things worked out just as Joseph said. Okay? And I imagine, it's too bad that the wine server forgot to tell the king for 2 years, forgot to tell the king. Okay. But fortunately, he did remember. And this is what the wine server said. He said that things had worked out just as Joseph said. Now, what does it mean to work out? When things had worked out just as Joseph said, 就按照约瑟所说的就成就. So things worked out just as Joseph had said. So there you have the story. It's a story about a forgetful wine server. When he hears the king's dreams and nobody can explain the dreams, then he says, whoa, I better tell the king. Now, stay tuned for another interesting point from the ancient tales. Now we come to some more light on your path. This time we're going to look at the Bible text from the story, Lena.
对，
It is Genesis 41:16.
是的，这个故事呢是来自创世纪的第41章。那我们的章节呢在16节。
Okay, the Bible text is actually Joseph's words, and he said, I cannot do it. Joseph replied to the Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires.
约瑟回答法老说：“这不在乎我，上帝必将平安的话回答法老。”
Okay, now we have several things we could talk about, and we only have 1 more minute to talk about. Is there anything in this story that especially question that you have?
哦，艾老师，这里边我有一个不明白的，为什么皇帝的身边有一个人，要专门服侍他喝酒呢？
Okay, because in those days they were bad times, and people tried to kill 要杀这个君王, and so they would put poison 这个叫什么？
明白了，毒药。
Okay, in that. So if the man drank the wine and he went and fell over dead.
我明白了，其实在中国以前的皇帝的身边也是有专门的人哈，帮他试那个饭菜啊，也许也帮他试一试喝酒，如果里边有毒的话，那个人先死掉，不用那个皇帝去死了。
Right. And in this story, Lena, the important thing is that Joseph knows that he cannot answer the question.
对
I mean the dream and explain it, but he says God
对
can do
对
it.
所以他很谦卑啊，他说能解梦的不是我，我要把上帝的话告诉你。
Okay. Thank you for sharing some light on your path. So the king ordered Joseph to be brought to him at once. Now, as I remember studying this, I remember one of my teachers saying that means he had to shave his face. 他为什么要剃掉他的胡子？ Because 埃及人 Egyptians didn't have beards. I still remember that. So he had to get cleaned up. Imagine he had to look very, very nice. Okay? And so the king, Mingling, bring him here at once. Okay? I understand that you can explain dreams, he told Egypt. 我听说, in this case, I understand means 我听说. 当然 understand 是明白, okay? But it gives more in Chinese the idea 我听说, okay? You can understand dreams, he told Joseph. So now, how did Joseph respond? No, I can't. Oh, but God can. No, I can't, but God can. Going on. So the king told Joseph all about his dreams. So now the king tells the dreams. Now, interestingly enough, he still remembers his dreams. Like I said, I never remember dreams for very long. He had seen 7 fat cows. 他就看到7个肥牛 7 fat cows. And then 跟着来 by 7 thin cows. 7 thin cows. 非常瘦的牛. But did you notice what happens? Okay. The thin cows ate up the 7 fat cows. So the fat cows got eaten up by the 7 skinny cows or the thin cows. Whoa. Now, remember, he saw some grains, heads of grain, 一粒麦子, okay? But a head of grain probably is 好几粒麦子, but it's the thing that's on top of the grain, right? So he had seen 7 full, ripe grain. Now, what does it mean full? It means that it's to begin with, it's very dry. And then just before 收割的时候, they get fatter and fatter, okay? And they were ripe, 很熟, 已经准备可以收割了. He had seen 7 full ripe heads of grain, followed by 7 thin, remember, here's again, just like the cows, 7 thin, wind-burned heads of grain. What does it mean to be wind-burned? Wind-burned means that the wind blows very hard and it actually burns the skin. I've had this experience many, many times, especially when I go fishing. 我去钓鱼的时候，是经常有出这个问题. The wind blows so hard and it gets dry, very dry, 变成非常枯干了. Okay, and the thin wind-burned heads of grain ate up the 7 full heads of grain. So you can understand why the king is so interested in this dream. Okay, so Joseph replied, the 2 dreams mean the same thing. 两个梦是同样的一个东西。The 7 fat cows and the 7 full heads of grain means that there will be 7 years of plenty. Well, we have plenty. When we say plenty, we mean 足够. But in this case, 7 years of grain and there 7 years of plenty means 7年的丰收，7年的丰收。Then, the 7 thin cows and the 7 thin wind-burned heads of grain mean that there will be 7 years of famine. Do you know what famine is? 饥荒. That means that there usually is no rain and no food. No food. So you have 7 good years, and then you have 7 bad years. Now, it goes on and says, there will be 7 years of great plenty in Egypt. That means 非常非常好的丰收啊，比丰收还要好。Followed by 7 years, 跟着来，7 years of famine, no food, everybody's hungry. So I imagine this got the attention of the king. Whoa, 这个王是非常非常注意。Now, the king understood how important these dreams were. 突然间呢，他就明白他所做的梦的重要性。That was very important. How good it was that Joseph was there to explain. 多么好！约瑟就是在那时候，就在那个地方。We say in English, the right man in the right place. Joseph was there to 帮助他解释他的梦。Whoa, that is very interesting. But there's more to the story, and you'll have to come back for another lesson before we get to the rest of the story, because it is very interesting. So, stay by for a little bit more of ancient tales for today. Okay, now here are some words you need to know. We're going to start with, well, what words shall we start with? Let's start with wise men.
很聪明的，很有智慧的一个人。
Okay, in today's language we would say 顾问。
顾问。哦。
Yeah, but you're correct. You're absolutely correct. So the next one is very commonly used but hard to use. 很难用到的，但是经常用到的。Things worked out that way. To work out.
Work out 意思就是发生了，对不对？
就是这样发生的。
哦，就是这样，很自然的就发生了。
Yes.
Okay,
that's very good. And then maybe the last one that we have time for is the last one there, famine.
饥荒。
Famine. So there was going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. Woo, we ran out of time. Thanks for these few words you need to know. Okay, well, we've looked at the ancient tales about a king who had a dream. And the dream stuck clearly in his mind. He remembered it very clearly. We talked about wise men that weren't so wise, and we talked about a wine server that forgot to tell the king some very interesting news for 2 years, and everything worked out just like Joseph had told the wine server. We talked about years of plenty, years of famine. Now, what's going to happen? You'll want to check out From Rags to Riches. That's number 34 next time. See you then.
That's all for today, and thanks for watching. If you like Ancient Tales for Today, please visit atft.chinesehope.tv. You may also contact us by writing to ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Again, that's ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Tell your friends about Ancient Tales for Today. See you next time.